Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Jack Bohannan. He is a relationship coach. He helps clients overcome stuck relationship patterns, insecure attachment, and self worth issues using somatic techniques. We'll learn from him about about not doing too much of deep analysis to heal and how simple embodied experiences can transform how you love and connect. Welcome to the show, Jack.
Thank you for having me, KJ. I'm excited for this conversation too.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Jack. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about how one can break toxic patterns without needing too much of analysis, without needing too much of overthinking. We'll talk all about this. But before that, let's learn a bit about your journey, your background, so that people know who they are listening to.
Absolutely. Yeah, these issues affected me a lot in my life, that I was very, very limited by my own attachment style and the ways that I formed as a human being in relation to other people. So, for those who don't know too much about attachment theory, it's increasingly popular and especially like popular online right now. It's the idea that early relationships and experiences influence our patterns in later relationships. So, whatever we experience in our childhood becomes recreated in adulthood or has a strong influence on who we become and how we relate with our partners. So, that leaves a lot of people stuck in this cycle of doing the same thing over and over. And often that's feeling overwhelmed by connection or feeling like there's not enough connection. And when people learn about attachment theory, they easily identify themselves as one of these types. If you oversimplify it, if you break it down into just two, there are often people in the relationship who feel like the connection's too much and they pull away, versus feeling like, oh, I need more reassurance from my partner. I'm going to rush towards them and probably freak them out and cause them to pull away. So it's this cycle that we get stuck in relationships that I definitely got stuck in. And through doing a lot of therapy, and then also men's work of sitting in a men's circle, I slowly got better. And the relationship that I was in eventually ended, which was sad, but also probably for the best. And I was married to a therapist for some time, but that intellectual understanding didn't really get us anywhere. And deep emotional healing is needed. And a lot of times that comes from the body. So, out of men's work, out of sitting in those circles and co facilitating, I felt the desire to be a coach. And I went out and got a certification and extensive training to use a somatic method that really looks into our body and what's happening now. And then also does some experiential role play type relating that allows us to re-experience what it's like in relationships in a healthy way. So I'm so into this, and it's benefited me a lot, this somatica technique. And I welcome any questions you may have, that the audience may have, and whatever is curious to you about this topic.
Absolutely, absolutely, Jack. So let's understand it for the audience. The very simple manner is that you talked about that whatever sort of relationship you had early in life, so that will impact you, and that you also do not need too much of intellectual understanding to understand these issues, because then, as an individual, what do I use to actually become better? Because earlier past will be difficult to use and present intellectual capacity will be difficult to use. So what do I use? Because I will only use what I learn. Past is of no use and present intellectual capacity is on no use. So then it becomes like as if one has to be, a very, very simple sort of a person without using brain, without using anything, and then only your relationship will succeed. This sounds to be a lot of compromise with all the things that you have learned in life. Help us understand about this part, Jack, where should intellectual people go? They have no role, no place in this world for relationships then?
Great question. We don't know what we don't know. As humans, we don't know what we don't know. So we end up with some blind spots about how life should be. And regarding this particular topic of attachment theory, there's a lot of emphasis about understanding your partner, understanding your own attachment style, quizzes out there that you can take to find out if you have avoidant attachment or anxious attachment or other insecure attachment styles. So there's all this emphasis on understanding, and we can chase our tail around like a dog chasing its tail on that for some time before realizing that we're not really getting a lot of benefit from it, though there is some benefit in intellectual understanding. And what people most need to do regarding this topic is have new experiences of relationship and take them in, soak them in, what the circumstances and experiences of secure attachment are. So those are safety and protection in childhood, attunement, and attunement means somebody really getting you and understanding you and seeing how you feel. Soothing comfort is another thing that we should receive in childhood, but sometimes don't. Also, expressed delight, that somebody's just like, I love you. This is so cool. You're so interesting and awesome. And then also support for self-development, where a parent says, you can go do anything you want with your life other than you have to be a doctor. No, that's not support for self-development. So having some of those experiences, even in adulthood, is really healing to this problem, this feeling of attachment disorder. So there is a researcher by the name of Dr. Daniel Brown who passed. He died. He said passed. He didn't just pass us. He would want us to say that he died. His life ended. But he developed a protocol called ideal parent figure therapy, where the client is re-envisioning these circumstances of childhood that in a healthy way with ideal parents, ideal support. And it's really creates a lot of leverage for healing attachment disturbance because you're recreating some of those experiences. That led me to realize that what I do is similar to an ideal partner figure, where in real time, we're talking about what it's like to set boundaries and recreating some of the experiences of expressing what the client needs in a way that they're able to feel my response to that. All these processes of being reconditioned where they're actually getting all their needs met by someone who isn't pushing their needs on them. So in partnership, it's really complex that we're trying to meet our needs through our partner for love, esteem, attunement, soothing comfort, while they're doing the same. And in this type of controlled coaching relationship, I'm not seeking to get my needs met through the client. It's all about the client. And they get this beautiful moment and safe space where they can explore what they really want in relationship. It's tremendously healing and echoes Daniel Brown's work.
Absolutely, Jack. Absolutely. So let's understand it from the ground level. What is it? What type of clients to come to you? What is it that they want from you? What are the problems that they face, and how is it that you help them?
A lot of times they come to me wanting their partner to act differently. So a lot of my clients have anxious attachment and they're in a relationship where they're not being met emotionally. They're not having their partner attend to them in an emotional way. And he is off and around and doing whatever he's doing and feeling overwhelmed by the connection. They often want me to somehow cause their partner to act differently or heal the connection, when in fact, all we can really focus on is ourself and improving our own health. When our own health improves, when we're able to be in a relationship in a healthier way, then we have the best chance of having a healthy relationship with that partner. But we can't really control that. So my clients often are women. A lot of this role play is really effective across the gender divide, though I also see men. And they are learning to be in alignment with themselves, to know what's true for them, to know what they really deeply want. And when they come to that place, they have a lot more self stability where they feel centered. They don't feel so thrown off track when their partner pulls away. They have this sense of calm and interdependence where they're okay with their partner going away and then also okay in connection. And that's the definition of secure attachment, where we're okay being in relationship and we're okay when that relationship dissolves or our partner is away. When we have those two things, we're in a really empowered, peaceful place.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to understand now. Let's come to this intellectual part, that you don't need intellectual understanding when you are, in this sort of an issues. Why do you say so? And what does it actually mean? Does it mean intellectual capacity? Does it mean education level? Or does it mean something beyond that?
It means something a little different. So thank you for asking. When I say you don't need intellectual understanding of this issue to do work on it and to resolve it, what I mean is that people get stuck in therapy, that people will spend a lot of time in their head talking about the issue. They'll read books about how to be healthier. They'll consume content online about how to be healthier, about their attachment style, about what is my avoidant partner doing? What is my avoidant partner doing? And that doesn't benefit us as much as looking at our own issues and going into our body to see where these anxieties and traumas exist. When we do that, when we confront things in the moment, they resolve much more quickly than if we spend years and years in therapy trying to gain an intellectual understanding. So everyone is capable of recreating some of these attachment experiences in a much shorter time than if they spend a lot of time on a therapist's couch.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of, you talk about attachment issues. If one had difficult or different relationships or in earlier years, and the other partner had a very good sort of a time earlier on, good relationships, which one is more dominant, the not so good one or the good one? And how does it work? Because on one side, one person may be the problem and the other person may be good, but they may still think that the other person is the problem and not you. How does that work on the ground? How do you know that your client is not the problem, the other person is, or your client is the problem? And are you ever able to tell them?
It's very natural for us all to be the problem, for us all to have problems that we bring to a relationship to some degree. And I believe that people who have wildly different levels of relational health don't stick together for very long. But there's research that shows someone with secure attachment, someone who's basically healthy, can increase the overall health of the relationship. If somebody feels a little anxious, the person with secure attachment is more likely to be able to provide reassurance in a way that's calm and non reactive, and they're less likely to feel overwhelmed. So we all have our quirks and little problems that we bring. But when somebody has secure attachment, they do have a really powerful influence on the relationship and the stability of that relationship. On the flip side, if a person finds themselves with a partner who's really disturbed in their attachment, where they're deeply avoidant or very anxious, it's likely that their attachment health will swing in the opposite direction. So imagine that you have a partner who doesn't call you back, who says one thing and then does another, who's emotionally absent. You're left in a place of wondering what the heck is going on. And you become anxious. You're wondering what that connection is like. You're wondering if you're going crazy. So the clients that I have who've been in a relationship like that for 3 or 4 years come to me in a state of being all bent out of shape, where their psyche has changed and they feel much less security and health. They're more likely to feel anxious after being in a situation that provoked their anxiety for so long. So it's something that can shift throughout our life of how we're relating to other people. It's not that we're locked into one mode of having avoidant attachment or anxious attachment.
Right, right. One more thing you talk about is the feminine and masculine, explanations. And you talk about that this can cause situationships and trigger insecure attachment. Nowadays, there is so much of talk about, masculinity and femininity and, all that energy, and that looks to be the solution for everything. Here, if I understand, you mean a bit differently. Help us understand why this will create insecure attachment, why this is not the the cure for every sort of a relationship.
I think it can create insecure attachment. And it's a topic that interests me a lot because I believe there's something really powerful there in those energies of masculinity and femininity. And there are reasons that they align with male bodied people and female bodied people. The problem that I see there, especially the advice that women are receiving, is that they're told that they should be passive in some way. They should attract a partner. They shouldn't ever ask a man, hey, I want you to call me. I need to go on 2 dates a week, about 2 dates a week, and I need you to text me back in a reasonable amount of time. The advice that women are receiving is that they should wait for the man to lead and that the man should initiate all these things. That can put them in a position of not stating what they want. And I personally want a partner who states what they want, who shows up in their fullness. So the best thing that we can do as either men or women is be our authentic self and not absorb some of these social messages. At the same time, there's something powerful about that dance, that polarity. And I've had some experiences in my life that were really striking and important to me where that was confirmed. But at the same time, a lot of the advice online is just crap. And if you want to really connect with someone, you have to be your authentic self to connect with someone. You can't be putting on a show. You can't be playing a role. You need to be your authentic self if you hope to connect with another person.
Right. So, in a nutshell, what does an average person do so that they are in good relations? Whatever sort of, background they have, past they have, but they want to have a good future for themselves, especially in terms of relationships. And what are these somatic techniques that you talk about?
In general, beyond seeking a label or a diagnosis of themselves about their attachment style, they can improve their communication. They can become more clear on what they want and need in a partnership. They can set better boundaries. They can come see me as a coach if they want. You can visit polarity-unscripted.com. Yeah, so there are all these ways that we can identify what's a healthy experience in relationship, and we're getting our needs met. We're getting all these experiences of health, either in our friendships. It's not just in our romantic relationships, but in our friendships, we can feel this attunement where someone else is understanding us deeply. This can be a very new experience for people. Or someone else is giving us support for self-development. This can be a mentor, a therapist, a coach, a friend, a romantic partner. There are all these ways that we can source healthy experiences from life and identify them as they're happening. To be like, oh, this is what it feels like to have attunement, that I never had somebody really understand me. My parents, my caregivers, my teachers, they always just treated me as a project or an object. And somebody's really getting me. What does that feel like? To take it in, to really experience that. What we do as people in modern society is we run around in our head. We're always up here. We're just thinking. And our true experience of life happens throughout our entire body. It's not just our head. So the best way to have some of those experiences of good attachment conditions is to drop into the moment and see what it's like. See what it's like to feel safe in a relationship. A lot of people have never done that. So whether it's a friendship or a romance, you're like, oh, okay, actually, this is probably what safety's like. This person's cool. There's no threat here. Or someone's seeing me, someone really gets me and understands me. What's that like? Maybe I've never had that experience before. So when those things come about, when we're experiencing them in the moment, we need to soak them up. Another thing that we can do is be very, very full and whole in ourself. So have these moments of solitude where we're in alignment with ourselves. It could be meditation, it could be exercise, but there's some degree of understanding what we're experiencing in the moment. Like, oh, I'm feeling anxious right now. This is what anxiety is like. And I know what my center is like. I know that calm, beautiful place that happens sometimes when I'm meditating. And to be able to tell the difference, to be able to understand what anxiety is, what distress is, and then also what our center is really powerful too, because it allows us to know when we're off center in our relationships and also how to come back to it as a secure base for our own existence.
Absolutely. There's much to learn from you about all this, Jack, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, learn more from you, about you, also from your podcast. What is the best way for them to do so?
I have a podcast about relationships and masculinity and femininity. They can check that out. It's Polarity Unscripted. You can find it on Spotify and Apple. And then my website is polarityunscripted.com/heal. And you can get a great webinar on attachment styles, learn more about what your own relationship patterns are and how you can address them and heal with your partner.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, KJ.